welcome everybody. This is our Tuesday coffee break session. I obviously have my coffee. And my name is Martyna Ścibiorek and I'm here from Science Bridge. I am a scientist, but I'm not working at the university at this point. I did my PhD in immunology and I have about 10 years experience working in academic setup. Today's coffee break session will focus on, are you cheating? And that question is not about your partners, but it's about academia. So last week we talked about becoming a scientist and what does it mean when you become a scientist. And we basically covered the fact that you're already becoming a scientist when you're on your master's degree and you have a lot of knowledge in science and you realize there's plenty more to learn. And you are confused whether you should continue your PhD track like some people do, or you should go for your master's track and graduate there, get your diploma and go to the workforce and become employable. So now, the myth that I want to bust when it comes to academia is the myth that I heard on my first internship when I was doing it at Maastricht University and I was still an undergrad. And one of the postdoctoral fellows was talking about cheating. And it was cheating in terms of leaving academic setup. It was observed, or some people felt like it, that when you are leaving academia, you are cheating. So you're cheating on you becoming a scientist and you get this bad feeling in your mouth that, oh no, I left science because I left academic setup. And I want to absolutely bust this myth. It has nothing to do with cheating. When you decide that you are leaving academic setup, it can be for plenty of reasons. One of them is as simple as that. Universities cannot sustain all of us graduating with your science degree and becoming a permanent employee of the university. I'll be straightforward with you. If you're dreaming about tenure track, which means becoming a professor, it might happen that there will be no space for you. Because as you know, becoming a professor is a long pathway and there are a lot of people who are in their 60s and they are still professors. So they are still occupying that space that you in your 20s are dreaming of. So because of that, the turnover of professors is too slow to sustain everyone. So what happens is that you are going to do your PhD, you're going to do your postdoctoral degree, and maybe you're going to shuffle between different universities because people will tell you, and it's true, that it is very good for postdocs to travel between different facilities, maybe different countries, to show that you can work with different teams and you have your international connections because you travel to different countries. And then when you decide to settle down for one university, it might happen that either you're going to be on a researcher contract and you're going to have to lecture at the same time. And depends obviously on the offers that you're going to get and you're going to apply. But not necessarily it will mean that you're automatically going to become a professor. Especially at the facilities that are a bit older, more developed. So now the question is, will there be space for you in next 20 years to become a professor, or you're going to stay on permanent lecturing position, or you're going to be a researcher associated with the university? What will be your situation? Now, when it comes to working at the university, you have to realize that if you're not going to get that permanent contract with the university, you're going to be based on the research grants. And as you know, research grants last for 2 to 3 years, and every 2 to 3 years and almost every year you have to reapply for a next grant, next salary, chase that, white rabbit. And because you're not settled, you might not have this financial security in a way. For some people, it is fine, and some people see themselves in this setup, and it's perfectly okay if you see yourself in this setup. For me, for instance, I personally was really scared of being unsettled in my contracts. So I was against staying, and that was my personal decision. Now, again, if this is the reason why you're leaving academic setup because you feel that outside of academia you're going to have more stable income, more stable day-to-day basis of salary, and you're going to get that paycheck for next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're cheating on anyone, and you're not cheating on system, and you are by no means losing the status of being a scientist. Some other reasons why you might want to leave academic setup is not only that you don't want to teach, but you cannot perform experiments. This is another taboo that we don't really speak about as scientists because some people might feel ashamed of it. What happened to me from my personal experience is I got something called repetitive strain injury in my hand, and for a long time my doctor, my surgeon, was battling if it's a carpal tunnel, but it wasn't. Carpal tunnel is another strain injury which can be fixed by surgery. Mine, despite the fact that I did have a surgery in my hand, was not fixed. And my doctor said, well, as simple as that, you have to leave what causes you pain. And unfortunately, it was part of the experimental setup. The fine work with opening Eppendorfs, 50 Eppendorfs at a time, unscrewing the caps from the bottles, doing the dissections. This fine work caused more pain for me. So this was one of the reasons I knew that I cannot be working with this type of instrumental setup anymore. For some people, it's going to be completely different injury, and that happens. And if this is the reason you feel that you have to leave a certain type of work and environment, it's again perfectly okay. You are not losing the status of being a scientist. Once you got that degree, it's yours and no one can take it back. So now let's talk about alternatives. We know that some people will decide, okay, I'm leaving, or I will leave in future for one reason or the other. It's perfectly fine. What you can do. So one of the options, obviously outside of academic setup, will be becoming R&D scientist. Again, R&D scientist outside of academic setup will be different than in academia. The major difference in those two positions is time constraint. So when you are at the university and you're working on a certain project, you're going to be working on it and you're going to encounter certain problems, which will be, for instance, leading to a lot of troubleshooting. And troubleshooting means that you're going to be performing the same procedure in a certain way, then repeating it in different way, then looking back at the literature and doing something else. You're going to consult with your peers. You're going to consult with your international collaborators. It is beauty of troubleshooting, but it can be frustrating and it can last for a long time and it might not lead to what you want to achieve. Now, academia has this beautiful feature of being capable of this type of accommodating this type of troubleshooting. But when you are working in business, time is money. If you're not bringing the results that a company wants, that the project needs, you are wasting money, not only time. So they might decide that they are closing that line of research or closing this type of project because it's non-profitable. It's just a black hole for money at this stage. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with saying, okay, I'm done. The only problem here is that when we are studying as scientists, when we are preparing our mindset, we want to know why it's not working, why I can't get there. I'm sure I should be able to in one way or the other. But not in business. In business, you're gonna have to leave the project behind. And the other problem here is that there is something called intellectual property. And you're not going to be allowed, most likely, to give this project to, let's say, your university former collaborators because of intellectual property that belongs to the company. So it might be very strict, and a company might not want that project to go back to, let's say, academic setup where they have time, where they might have resources to work on it and try to build around the problem. Therefore, you might have to encounter this situation. Am I willing to give up my 2 years of work or not? And if you're going to struggle with this decision, well, that might be very difficult. So that's one downfall of leaving academic setup. Time is money. So quicker you do your experiments, the more profitable results you're bringing in, the better. Because in a work environment, the out of academic environment, not the publication is the goal. The publication might be a secondary goal for some companies, but bringing in money, bringing in results that they want, that they expect, is simply more profitable. So that's one option to become out of academia scientist. But what are the others? There are plenty. And here I would like to point you to our career map, where we are asking what type of job you can do outside of academia. So as a scientist, you have great understanding of science and great understanding of scientific literature. That's what you've been trained. And you obviously know what you don't know, so you know where you have to get more training on, which type of conferences you would want to attend to stay up to date. And that understanding of science, it is crucial for many positions outside of academic setup. Because, for instance, you might start thinking, okay, I don't want to do experiments, or I can't do experiments, so I want to just focus on my understanding of science. What positions are there available? For pharmaceutical companies, it's going to be medical science liaison or medical information specialist. We did have interviews in Science Bridge with people from those two positions, and those were wonderful source of information of what those people are doing. Those people are reading scientific literature on day-to-day basis. They stay in touch with academic professionals that are key opinion leaders in the field of certain, let's say, disease. If you are a medical science liaison and you're going to be focusing on one drug that is used for one disease, therefore you have to work with both academia, with specialists on that one disease, but also with medical professions that are doctors that specialize in this disease, and in future will be prescribing the drug that your company is gonna sell, and you are representing that company. So you will have to be up to date with scientific literature and be sharp as a pin with all the knowledge of up-to-date literature on that disease, and then understand how this drug will influence the disease. So as you can see, your understanding of science will be crucial for those positions. Does it mean that you are not a scientist anymore? Absolutely not. And that's the beauty of getting this degree, because you will be a multi-faced scientist who has immense capabilities, and basically the world is your oyster when you're living with that degree. And you can do plenty of work outside of university. So stay tuned to our coffee break sessions. I am Martina, and next Tuesday we're gonna focus on other positions that are available outside of academic setup. Have a great day.